Hi everyone and welcome back to the Simple Knit podcast. My name is Eleanor. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Simple Knit Co, and here on YouTube where I hang out and every so often share with you a little crafty show and tell with all of the things that I have recently been knitting. If you are checking out the podcast for the first time, welcome along. It's so nice to meet you. And as always, a big hello to everyone who comes back every episode and leaves a comment or just sits back and watches and lets me keep you company while you do a little bit of knitting of your own. I'm coming to you from an overcast, humid, gross Sunday afternoon here in Brisbane, Australia, where I live. And I hope that where you live, it isn't so sweaty. It is very, very humid. It's been threatening to storm for about a week now and hasn't. So I think we're all going to melt, and it's not even technically summer yet. So thoughts and prayers from me to every other person trying to make this hobby sustainable in a subtropical climate. So grab your knitting, pour yourself a drink. Let's get started talking about everything I've had on my needles. So the first thing I want to talk about today is what I'm wearing, and it's also a finished object. This was on the needles for so long. I checked my Ravelry and I cast this on in January this year, so that's a really long time. I'm pretty good, like I will usually not put a project down and pick it back up or whatever, but that is what happened with this top. But I'll get into that as we go. I have notes written down here, so that's why I keep looking at the floor. This is the Aerial top by Sari Nordland. I knit the 4th size, and I knit this using Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the dark cognac colorway, and I held the yarn double because this pattern is written originally for a DK weight yarn, so this is 2 strands of fingering weight held together. Did I say that I knit the 4th size? Because I did knit the 4th size, and I knit it on the recommended needle size of, I don't know what I was doing with my hair there, that was, sorry. I knit it on the recommended needle size, which is 3mm needles, and I ended up using very close to all of 5 skeins of this yarn. I only had a little tiny bit left over, probably like 5 grams of each ball that I was holding together at the time. And yeah, it is this, I'll just stand up so you can get a bit more of a look. So it's this beautiful all over lace top that's the same front and back. It's basically just a big old tube. You start from the bottom, go all the way up, and then do a little bit of ribbing, then make these straps and stitch them on. So I'm so proud of myself for finishing this top. It took a lot of time. The lace wasn't actually that, kind of like everything with lace and cable knitting, once you get started, it's actually not that much more complicated but it is, obviously, you have to think and follow a chart. I think this pattern did come with both a chart and written instructions, but I used the chart, and it's not a very long repeat. I think it's only maybe like a 16 stitch lace repeat going around. So it was, and you're doing it enough times on each round that you kind of get into the rhythm of doing the pattern. So I kind of, by the time I was part of the way through the first repeat, I could kind of just look at the chart at the beginning of the round and then was like in the swing of it to go around. So I didn't feel completely tied to the chart. So it was not a difficult lace motif to do, but I think it looks really, really effective. It's really, really cute. It was very hard on my hands. So it was for like a DK weight, 8-ply kind of yarn weight. Knitting it on 3mm needles is quite a tight gauge for that yarn size. So the combination of it being quite like a firm, like pretty dense gauge, and this being a like silk, which is not a very elastic fiber at all. It was quite hard on my hands, and I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of would knit it in fits and starts. Because also once I got started, it was really addictive, wanting to, you know, with anything that's got a chart or that you can kind of see your progress moving forward. You're like, oh, I'll just do another, I just want to get to this part of the pattern. I just want to get to do 3 more stripes, you know, get to the next yarn over section, whatever. It was kind of one of those, but then what then would stop me was it was quite hard on my hands and my wrists. And also it was time consuming. So when it got to starting to get cooler, I wanted to be making some new jumper projects, and just there was not enough time in the day, unfortunately. If I could spend every hour of everyday knitting, I would, but unfortunately that will not keep me alive. So I put it down for the winter and then brought it back out, and I finished it, and I'm thrilled. So any other pertinent details? So for the length of the top, I did 4 full repeats of the lace chart before going into the rib at the top. And another thing, I think I probably finished the actual knitting on this like a month ago or so. I was really close to finishing it. I think last time I did a podcast, which was quite a while ago, but I felt like it was too big. So the pattern kind of tells you to go for, I think, like around like a negative or 0 ease or very little bit of positive ease around your bust. But I would probably say this is another pattern again that you should probably be, especially if you have a larger bust, looking at your upper bust measurement rather than your full bust measurement. I was sitting between a size 3 and 4. I decided to just go for the 4 because I didn't want it, I knew this was not wasn't going to be stretchy, so I didn't want it to be too tight. And then when I finished it, I thought, oh no, this is too big. What am I going to do? When it came time to, so this top band is actually folded double. So you then have to stitch it down and then you pop the sleeves on. So this is like a double thickness ribbed band. And there is kind of, in the pattern, it does say you can make it as like a strapless top, but it recommends you popping some elastic in the top. So when I finished it and kind of pinned this down and then pinned the straps about where I wanted to, it was a little bit bigger than I thought it would be. And it also, because obviously like if you have a larger bust, you have more like circumference at the front half of your body than the back half. It was really like there was a lot of excess fabric at the back, and that just didn't look great. When it like fit nice and sat really nicely at the front, but then there was just like all this excess fabric at the back. And I, as per usual, just went to like full like 5-alarm fire crisis. How am I going to fix this? I was thinking I would pop some elastic around the top, like not so it was tight, but just so it was like firm, and then I could, it would like be a bit more cinched, so then it would sit, kind of be like gathered by the elastic and then flow out from there. But I wasn't really into that. And then after it's sitting for probably about a fortnight, not sewn together, just pinned together and staring at me from the corner, making me feel, you know, trying to work out how to fix this. Obviously my like unconscious brain was working on it, and I realized, you know, one of the simplest full bust adjustments that you can do for a knitting pattern is to just like have more fabric on the front of the garment than the back. So if you're, you know, doing a top down jumper, when you separate for the sleeves, separate them further back so there's just more stitches on the front half than the back half of the garment. And I worked out I could do that just because the straps are just knit separately with the placement of the straps. So they are just put together slightly closer together at the back than they are at the front. So there's more fabric in the front half of the top, and it works, it fits really beautifully. Like maybe if I would have knit a size down, it would have not been big enough. So que sera, I could have put more thought into it, but that's why I buy knitting patterns, because I don't like putting thought into it. So a very simple solution to not really a problem that took me much too long to solve. That was my little dilemma, seems like too strong a word. That was the the saga, the tale, the ballad of the aerial top. But it's done now. I love the way it fits. It sits really nicely. I got the straps, and there's kind of no instructions about where to put the straps. It's just like put them on. I put them in kind of far enough in that they don't fall off my shoulders. As I said, a little bit closer together at the back than the front. And then, you know, just whip stitched this cast off edge down, and then just like stitched and hoped for the best with very securely attaching these straps. I also probably could have made the straps a tiny bit shorter, but if in the course of its life these do stretch out, I can always, you know, take them in a little bit. So yeah, that is the aerial top, and I spent a lot longer than I thought talking about that top, but clearly had a lot to say apparently. So next finished object. So I hate, this is why I don't like taking notes, because I just end up looking down and not forward. Anyway, so next finished object. This I was also working on last time I spoke to you, and I did finish it a little while ago, just in time for it to still be a bit cold, so I did still get some wear out of it before it got really hot. But this is the Lemon Vest by Renata Calm, and it's this beautiful double moss stitch vest. Let me just pop it on so you get a bit of an idea. I'll leave it on as long as I can. So yes, this is stunning. I'm obsessed. I had the best time knitting this, and I love wearing it. It's really beautiful. It's great. Obviously not over this top would not be the usual, but let me just stand up so you can have a bit of a look. So it's a really nice length, really warm and cozy. Just a really nice vest to wear. So as I said, this is the Lemon Vest by Renata Calm. I knit the 4th size of this pattern, and I did go up a needle size. So you knit the ribbing on a larger needle than the body so that it all kind of ends up the same width. So I did a 5.5 millimeter needle for the ribbing, and then a 5 millimeter needle for the body of the vest. Sorry, it is way too hot. I thought I'd be able to last longer, but no, it's too hot. So the wool I used for this, I bought at the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show this year when I went in July, and it is, you can't get this yarn anymore, I don't think. They aren't making it. Very sad, but I love it. So it's the Eva yarn, which is a collaboration between the Great Ocean Road Woolen Mill and Tandy Farm Yarn Business, whatever. So this yarn is 80% Polworth and 20% alpaca, and it's undyed. It's just this beautiful like neutral beige color, and yeah, I absolutely love it. I used about almost all of 4 skeins of this yarn to make this top, and yeah, it's just a simple vest. It's open at the front. You have this I-cord that you knit as you go, and I swear these are the neatest I-cords I've ever done. I don't know if it's a combination of the gauge and the needle size and the yarn, but I swear they're like my best I-cords ever. You also have an I-cord that you do as you go for the armholes, so you don't have to do any finishing around the arms. Knit from the bottom up, and then you do the fronts and backs, and then you seam the shoulders together. If you're really enthusiastic, you could do like instead of binding off the shoulders as you do the shoulder rows, you could just keep them on the needle and do a 3 needle bind off. But I just mattress stitched. No, I didn't do a mattress stitch. I used the top to top seaming method from Brooklyn Tweed. I don't know if it's actually from Brooklyn Tweed, but that's where I get the tutorial from. I'll link it below. They have a really great, on Brooklyn Tweed, it's like a blog post that has a whole bunch of different seaming methods for joining, no matter which direction your knitting has been going for the edges, like top to top, side to side, you know, are they opposite direction knitting pieces that you're seaming, just how to like seam it together so you get a really nice edge. And then, yeah, then you just pick up and do the collar. That was a nonsensical joining of sentences. And the The only modification I made was for the bind off around the top of the collar. I did an I-cord bind off. The bind off that it has in the pattern to do along the top edge, I just couldn't get it to look neat. It was kind of twisted. I don't know if it was either like the way I was doing it or the way it was written. It just looked really messy, and the top edge was just really twisted. It was probably user error, but I didn't like the way it looked, and I tried a couple of other bind offs, but once again just didn't like how they looked. So I decided to I just continue the I-cord from the edge, so I used these I-cord stitches and then did the I-cord all the way around. And then when I got to the other end, I can't even tell actually which is the start and which is the end. Actually, I think this is the end. So then when I had the last 3 I-cord stitches, just did a graft to join them together. And this is a really lovely pattern. It's really easy to wear, throw over anything. I like that because it's like a natural wool color, it kind of has the vibe of like a shearling kind of vest, but without it being like super woolly and fluffy. It has this, because it has this like bit more volume at the front, you could, if you're wearing it under like a denim jacket or a jacket, it has still a little bit of interest coming out the front. And my absolute favorite detail is at the lower back here. There's this really beautiful little lace panel. Kind of has a Celtic flower vibe to me, but I just think it's so cute. Adds a really nice little detail that kind of, honestly, I didn't even realize was there until I started knitting it. Even though I'd seen the pattern photos, I clearly hadn't taken in that there was that little panel there. But it turned out, this vest has just turned out really perfectly. I love it. It's great. Can't say, I don't think there's anything else to say, but really like it. And a little bit sad that it's now going to have to get packaged away until next year, but it's all ready to go, and yeah, highly recommend. It was the double moss stitch was surprisingly effortless, mindless, really relaxing and really fun to work on. Maybe if you don't love, it was basically just like stockinette but a bit more interesting, you know, but filled that kind of void, just like doing the same thing back and forth for ages. Was just really nice, and I really love the texture of the stitch and the pattern, the way that it looks. Yeah, highly recommend that pattern. Had a really great time knitting it. Next finished object. I literally finished this at like 10 o'clock last night, so there are ends to be woven in. It's like weird and lumpy because it's been shoved in various arrays of way too small project bags. But it's done, and I'm really stoked with this as well. So this project is the Winona dress by Sari Nordland. I knit it in, oh good lord, let's try and make this look respectable. It's knit in Wool and the Gang Shiny Happy Cotton in the color Jog Grey, and it's just a little spaghetti strap midi length dress. So yeah, I really like it. I knit the 4th size again, as I usually do in Sari Nordland patterns, and it's just like, it's an endless sea of knitting stockinette. That's really all there is to say. I mean, there is more to say, but yeah, as I said, I knit the 4th size. I knit it on 5mm needles, and yeah, it's just a stockinette. It's just a dress. It's nothing flash. As you do the body, there are some slight gradual increases as you go down the body of the dress. So yes, you start at the top and knit the 4, it's exactly the same front and back until you get to the bottom, but when you start, it's exactly the same front and back. You knit 4 little triangles that you join together in the round, and then knit in the round. And in this first section, you do some very slight increases to the body, and then when you get towards the bottom, you make this little split which has I-cords along the edge as well, and you knit, 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 and then do an I-cord bind off around the bottom. It tells you to go down a needle size for the I-cord bind off, which I did, but it seems to be just like sitting up a little bit. So I don't know if it's a little bit too tight. It was also done like barely more than 12 hours ago. So hopefully that over time will, like, with the weight of the cotton, will wear out a little bit. And there's also I-cord around the sides, and you do these I-cord straps. Now this is like maybe like a 6-stitch I-cord for these straps. And you do coming up from both sides and then graft together. So I think that's how you make a dress. It's very, very straightforward. As I said, it's just knitting stockinette. So this is really great, like TV knitting, carry around with your knitting. But because it is absolutely freaking giant, I was like taking this was like until I got to the split down here, I was just carrying this around with me. So I was having to carry a giant purse because this was my on the go knitting, which was not maybe the wisest option, but it did mean that it got done quite quickly. I think it was on the needles for about a month, which is not very long when you consider that it's a whole dress. But once again, there's no straps. It used, did I say before that I used 6 skeins of the yarn? I did. I used 6 skeins, just about all of 6 skeins of the cotton, which I thought was going to be not enough yarn. So usually I have found, I love Sorry Northern Patterns, but I cannot, you know, if my yarn is like on the yardage, I will need another skein of yarn. I will, even though my gauge is the same as the gauge in the pattern, but I always feel like I'm going to run out of yarn. One top, I think I had like less than a meter of yarn left, and I was using the recommended yarn, like everything exactly as the pattern. Like there wasn't any, like usually designers will give like kind of like a 10% buffer with your yardage, which is really annoying when you could have not bought another skein of yarn. But Sari's patterns, I always find I'm like under the wire. And with this dress, I did end up adding some length. So I think I added about 10 or 15 centimeters before I did the split. That was kind of the length that I was wanting. And actually that is the length that the dress looks like in the pattern. But then in the pattern instructions, it says this dress is designed to finish at your knees, which is not how it's modeled. I'm not really sure what that is, but what I did is I had a ready to wear dress that was about the length that I wanted this to be. So I just used that and measured, like I got that dress and measured 20 centimeters less for the split, and then just measured this dress against that dress to get the length that I wanted. And I was 100% convinced that I was going to run out of yarn from how far I got in a ball on the body of the dress and how much, and then I was adding length, and I was already like just like on how much yarn I needed. I was convinced I was going to run out of yarn. So I did put this down for a little bit, but I found that there are a few, like I didn't want to have to order like one ball of yarn. There is a yarn shop in Brisbane that does sell this yarn and did have this color in stock, which I thought I was going to have to buy another 2 skeins of this, and I didn't need to. When I worked out that when I, you know, once again, like calmed myself down, not a 5-alarm fire, it's just knitting. I knew that I could just go to a local like Brisbane based yarn shop and pick up a skein of yarn if I needed. So I figured I'm just going to knit. I'm not even going to think about it. If I run out, I'll go and get some more. And yeah, I kind of had exactly the perfect amount of yarn, even with adding, as I said, probably about 15 centimeters to the length that it recommends in the pattern. As I said, I finished it last night. Doing the I-cord bind off took the exact length of the cinematic masterpiece, The Spy Who Loved Me, the James Bond movie, or one of the Roger Moore ones. It's actually pretty good for a Roger Moore one. I have thoughts about Roger Moore as James Bond, but that man can wear a pair of flared white trousers. If there's no other reason to watch that movie, for that alone. But it took the length of that movie to do the I-cord bind off. So as I said, it still needs to be finished, but I'm just thrilled. It's done. I have a dress to wear in the summer. Even though it's, you know, kind of like a bulky weight cotton, it's still quite a comfortable yarn to wear in the summer. I've used it for a few other garments. So yeah, if you've ever thought about knitting a dress, this is my second dress that I've knit. Highly recommend. It's really, especially like a summer dress without sleeves, it's really not that much more knitting than a jumper. So that's my 2 cents on knitted dresses. So that's kind of all of the finished objects that I have. I do have one other thing to share with you. It's right behind me. So if you've been watching this podcast for a while, you'll know that I like to, especially for gifts, do knitted Christmas ornaments to give out to people. But I like them to be quite a bulky weight, fast to knit, so that I can just whip some up, carry them around in my bag. That way, if you go, you know what it's like in December, you meet up with someone for something unrelated to something Christmassy and they have got you a card or a gift. If you have a little secret stash of knitted ornaments in your purse, you are never caught out. Because I have nearly been caught out a couple of times. You know, you think you're just going with your mum to drop something off at her friend's house and then you're given a Christmas gift. Mortifying. Not anymore when you've got a secret stash in your purse. So I was looking for a new pattern. Also, I do still have like a little pile. I keep looking over there because they're on my table, but from previous years, like spare ones. But if they're people that you see every year, I can't actually remember which ornaments I've given people in the past. So, you know, have I given you a mitten? Have I given you a stocking? I don't remember. I don't remember what colors I've given you. So you kind of do need to like shake up the repertoire a little bit. So I was perusing Ravelry for a free pattern and I found this one. So these are kind of prototypes because it's the first time knitting this. It is called, let me have a look at my handy dandy notes. The Star Ornament by Adela. Can't read my own handwriting. Welcome to my life. The Star Ornament by Adela Dutra of Woolmade. It's a free pattern on Ravelry and it's for a super bulky weight yarn. So this is leftovers that I have from, what was that jumper called? I made it last year. The Luminen. So this is Wool and the Gang Crazy Sexy Wool in the colorway Glow Up Cream. And this is made on 8mm needles with, yes, super bulky yarn. And it's only 5 rounds. So you kind of cast on around the outside. I think it's like, it's a free pattern. You cast on like 50 something stitches and then each round you do a centered double decrease to make these 5 little prongs and then you just pull it through. So the first one I made, I definitely didn't pull that center thing. That was disgusting. I should not have shoved my finger through that. That was horrible. I apologize. I should have pulled this tighter. That ring is quite loose. It is. I could have pulled it tighter. So because you're decreasing quite rapidly, like 5 rounds and you decrease each time, especially in this wool, when it's finished, it is very like crinkly. Like these have been blocked and I did actually sit them with like something on them to flatten them out. But I wasn't sure how much it was going to flatten out. So I was a bit more tentative when I did this one. Sorry, I dropped. This one I did pull a bit tighter and it is a bit nicer. But as I said, these are just kind of for me. I was just testing out the pattern to see if I liked it. I have some like sparkly acrylic, not dissimilar to what I've used in previous years, if you've seen, that I bought from Spotlight that I'll going to make held these with that. It's allegedly like a DK weight, but it's not. It's a bit thinner because it's that like awful glittery acrylic, but it looks really cute. So I think I will do 2 strands of that held together on like a 6mm needle. Should be a nice density. So they'll end up a little bit smaller than these, but just for me, these are cute. And some of my friends might get this like made in actually nice yarn. But that's going to be my Christmas knitting for this year. Yeah, as I said, like really cute, very, very easy pattern, like 5 rounds. Like probably takes like 20, 30 minutes to make a star. So, you know, you get all the kudos of giving people something handmade with very little effort. Yeah, actually, it is a really cute pattern. I think it looks really lovely. So yeah, recommend if you're looking for a quick Christmas gift knit, definitely recommend these stars. All right, so now on to my works in progress. So I currently have 3 whips on the needles, but only 2 that I'm actively working on. I'm not really actively knitting on that rainbow blanket that I showed a few episodes ago. I have it sitting beside me on the couch, and you know, whenever the spirit moves, I'll pick that up, and if there's tangible progress, I will share it with you. But I'm not like, doesn't have any deadline. It's not for anybody. So it'll just get worked on when it's worked on. So I have 2 works in progress that I'm currently working on. The first one is, let me just get it the right way around. Here it is. Yay! So I've turned this around, but this is the Weekender by Andrea Mowry. I'm knitting this in this beautiful yarn that I got at the Sheep and Wool show. This was my big 500 gram yarn baby that I bought from Northeast Yarns. It's Australian Corriedale, and this colorway, according to the internet, is called Country Twirl. So it's a 3-ply construction, as you can see, I hope. So it has 1 white ply, 1 in like a light warm gray, and then 1 brown. So it's this beautiful, beautiful, mild goodness. And I knew, because this was a mild, like quite a statement color, I really just wanted quite a simple, like this yarn would really obfuscate any cables, any lace, any kind of texture would really just get lost in the mild yarn. But I was kind of struggling to think of a pattern, and then I remembered how much I loved my Weekender, and I'd made it, you know, before I had a podcast. You know, I did live before I was on the internet, and I loved that jumper, and I really wore it to death. I didn't make it in like the wisest, it looked cute, but I didn't make it in like the wisest, most long wearing yarn. And because it had kind of, you know, had its day, I hadn't worn it or really thought about that for a while. But when I was trying to decide what to do with this beautiful yarn, I remembered how much wear I really did get out of the Weekender. I would wear it to work. I wear it all the time. And yeah, it was a really great jumper. It fit really nicely. And even though it's written for Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, which is like it's like an Aran, like it's quite a thicker yarn, I had really good results making it out of a 8-ply yarn before. So I did it again, and I am absolutely stoked. I think that, so you knit this, I'm knitting the 3rd size, and even though so basically I'm knitting this because I've gone down a yarn weight size, so I'm knitting this in like a DK 8-ply. I also have gone down a needle size from what it is in the pattern. So the main body is on a 5mm needle and then a 4.5 for the ribbing. I'm still, I think, like looser gauge than allegedly in the pattern, because I think in the pattern it's like 18 stitches per 10 centimeters or something, and I'm doing like, and this is about, now that it's evened out, I'm about 16 or 17 stitches per 10 centimeters. So actually almost like, even though I'm in a smaller yarn, and you know what I mean. So I'm basically on gauge with using a lighter yarn and a smaller needle size, which I can't imagine, like thinking about then Brooklyn Tweed Shelter knit at that gauge, like that is a tight gauge. But whatever, Andrea, like this is a really great pattern. It is so straightforward, very popular for a reason. So you start, it has this little split hem at the side. So you start knitting these 2 little ribbed bands, and then you join it in the round. You work it inside out, so because it's all over reverse stockinette, so you are just knitting instead of purling, and then it has this slipped stitch detail that goes up the front and the back, which just looks so cute. I love it so much. So I'm just about, I think I've kind of I measured it just before, and I'm just about where I need to be to split for the front and the back. And yeah, I have this much left of the first. So when I wound up this big 500 gram skein of yarn, I just did it in two batches because I was worried about stretching it out. I kind of got myself in a little, like, I wasn't really sure how best to wind it. And one lovely commenter who I will remember as soon as I finish filming was like, just go until it's too big. So really just two. So I did wind it into two 250 gram-ish balls. And so that's how big 250 grams of DK weight yarn is. Isn't it just so cute? I just did it on the back of 2 chairs because I don't have a Swift or a ball winder or anything. I just have furniture and my hands. So I've got all of this still to go. Yarn wise, I've still got this much left of my first 250 grams. So I should be able to at least get either the front or the back. I think it's kind of the same. From memory, the top, like the neck decreases and all of that is the same front and back, but you do have the slightly longer ribbing on the back. So it does have a front and a back. But yeah, I am having seriously the best time knitting on this. I'm loving working with this yarn. It has a really beautiful halo. I don't know if you can see because it's all white behind me. Does it just look like yarn to you? But it has a really beautiful amount of halo fuzz to it. It's like fuzzy. That's really the texture I would describe it as, because it's not prickly, it's not scratchy, but it does have that like feeling of wool. And I can't tell, it doesn't say. From the smell and feel of it, I don't think it's been superwash treated, so it's undyed, straight from the colors of the sheeps. And yeah, it's just really, really gorgeous yarn to work with, and a really nice price point as well. So I will link they do have a website that I've not ordered from because I bought this at the yarn show, but I'll link the website down below. This is really, really, feels like it's going to wear really nicely. Really great yarn. So yeah, I'm thrilled. Of course, you know, heading into a subtropical summer, is that the time to be knitting a beautiful fuzzy jumper? Probably not, but you can't stop me, is all I have to say. You know, every year I end up knitting jumpers through summer. It's like I drink hot coffee all the way through summer. I just love having super hot showers even when it's super hot outside. Just love, you know, living in a slightly sweaty sauna all the time. But I love it. So yeah, the Weekender, it's a really great pattern. I do highly recommend. As I've recently knit another reverse stockinette slip stitch Andrea Mowry jumper that what's it called, the metamorphic, whatever it was. No, the jumper is metamorphic, the Hilary Duff album is Metamorphosis. So like not a dissimilar concept. Probably if you've got one pattern, probably don't need both, but I don't care, I like them both. And yeah, they're just really nice, simple patterns, very easy to wear, very easy to, you know, incorporate into your life. So yeah, highly recommend making a Weekender. That's all I have to say on that, I guess. The only other project I have, because I cast it on yesterday, as I said, I'd been carrying around in a giant purse either my Winona dress or my Weekender, and because the Weekender was being worked from a giant ball of yarn, if I had to take either of those with me, I was having to carry like a giant purse, like I was one of the Olsen twins in 2004. And I was sick of it. I had a few errands and stuff out of the house to do yesterday, and I didn't want to take a giant purse. So before I left, I cast on a sock. So the yarn is Knit Picks Felici, and this colorway is called Double Dog Dare. I bought it ages ago, definitely won't be in stock anymore. It's kind of a weird selection of colors, but like this magenta is just stunning. And I love, you know, it's very, I'm back around to the yellow. So they're kind of very warm, happy, fun summer colors. Yeah, and I'm really enjoying just they're like nice happy colors to look at. I'm just knitting a 2x2 ribbed sock. So I have cast this on, I've cast on 68 stitches on a 2mm needle. I'm just kind of experimenting as well with my socks. I haven't knit a sock for a little while, but I kind of just found a formula that was fine for me and just stuck with that. Didn't really experiment with fit or anything. And so I'm like, I've knit quite a number of socks in my life at this point. So I figured I kind of just found a formula and it was fine. So I just always knit my socks the same. So I thought, maybe I could try and make better fit. Not that there's anything wrong with the way my socks fit, but like, could they be better? That is the question I'm posing with these socks. So previously when I've knit all over, like I'm going to knit the 2x2 rib all the way down the leg and then also on the top of the foot. I've gone up a needle size. So I did them on 2.25mm needles with my usual 64 stitches. So I've decided to go down a needle size and then also like up a stitch count. And I may, when I do the decreases for the foot, then go down to 64 stitches on the foot and knit it a little bit longer than usual. I don't know. Just going to be experimenting. I mean, this yarn, it's beautiful and it wears really well. Like I love making socks out of Felici, but like it's not, this isn't like precious, sacred, beautiful hand-dyed yarn. So I can be a little bit more free and easy with my knitting. And as I said, nothing really else to say. It's a sock. I really needed a portable project after I finished all those hats that I was working on a few months ago. I just really needed something that I can, carry around with me that doesn't take up like a whole giant tote bag. So I'm not like Mary Poppins wandering around. So that's everything that I have been working on recently. But before I let you go, I just wanted to share with you some patterns. So the big industry news, big community news in the last few weeks has been Pom Pom Press announcing that they are wrapping up their production of magazines and books. I'm guessing they're books as well. But so the next issue of Pom Pom Quarterly is going to be the last one, which is very sad. It's a great magazine and I've loved following and buying copies, but I completely understand how hard it is to run a small business in the current whatever timeline that we're on. So what I thought I would do, as part of their, if you don't know, I'm sure you already know, but as part of the kind of wrapping up of their company, they are doing a big sale on back issues of the magazine. So that's a really great way that you can support the owners of the business as they kind of wrap up their production, is to buy some back issues that at a very good price, and especially when you're having international shipping to get them to Australia, it does make them a little bit more accessible. So what I did was I went through my Ravelry queue and looked at all of the patterns in my queue that are from copies of Pom Pom magazine. So I thought I would share them with you. So if you're wanting to support Pom Pom or just wanting to add a couple of their magazines to their collection while you can, this might be some inspiration for you. So all of these are from my actual real life Ravelry queue. And the first few I already have the yarn for. A couple of them I know what yarn I want to make them in, and other ones are just still like very much in the dream knit phase. But let's just get sharing, because otherwise we could be here all day. So firstly, this is a quite recent issue. This is Pom Pom issue 45, which was summer 2023. And I love this top that's on the cover, but these are all little individually crocheted circles, so I don't think I would ever do that. But this top is called Pommer, and it's designed by Heidi Kestner. It's this really cute little tank top with this really fun little lace pattern on it, and it's made in lino. What's the yarn called? It's Vollenberlin's Lino Muka, which I have in grey that I bought like literally like 6 years ago to make something completely different, and has just been sitting in my yarn drawer. I haven't really known what to do with it, but I have enough to make this very cute top. So that is pattern number 1. And next I've got from, this is autumn 2023, so this is issue 46, another recent one. And this issue was guest edited by Candace of Farmer's Daughter Fibers, and the pattern that I love, it's going to be hard to show, but this is called Prairie Skies, and it is designed by Imke von Nathusius. Yeah, Imke von Nathusius. I'll put that on the screen. And it's this really cool jumper. It's knit in this really dark grey, so it's kind of hard, dark brown, so it's quite hard to see, but it's, the yoke of the jumper is actually crochet granny squares that are put together and then you knit it. So it's a combination of knit and crochet together, which I think is really, really cool. I've got some dark grey yarn to make this in. This is not very helpful, but I'll have all of it linked down below so you can have a better look. So next, this is a slightly older issue. So this is number 28, which is from spring 2019. And it's this pattern on the front. So it's Wood Warrior by Lydia, who's one of the creators of Pom Pom. And I believe this pattern is also in their, is it their book called Ready Set Raglan? But it's this really cute, just simple raglan jumper with this cute little, you can see that on the cover, but this cute little detail down the raglans. I think it's really, really cute. All right, so the next one, this is from this issue. It's the autumn 2022 issue of Pom Pom, which is number 42. And once again, it's the jumper that's on the front here. So it's called Epoch. It's designed by Elena Dimchevska. And they've got it in 2 colors, this like warm yellow and this really pretty blue. But it's just this really nice, just a jumper with a really pretty textured pattern on the yoke that I just think is really, really beautiful. Next, I feel like I'm just like running you through a checkout, but you know, you're all capable of looking these up if these look interesting to you. So this is issue 31, which was winter 2019. And the pattern from this one that I love, it's a Sari Nordland pattern. It's called Telervo. And it's this beautiful cardigan with this, and they've got it in a dark green as well, with just this really cool like textured cable pattern all over the cardigan. I just think it's really cute. So it's, yeah. And I think there seems to be one like with different collar options maybe, or maybe they are the same, just styled differently. But yeah, that's another really pretty jumper pattern. Now this issue, there are so many beautiful patterns in this issue. I haven't made any of them yet, but I love, like this is a really, really great issue of Pom Pom. So it's autumn 2021, which is number 38. And it's once again the cover pattern, which is Saknes, which is designed by Zanetta Hussein. And it's this really lovely cabled cardigan again. They've got it in a couple of styles. So this is slightly longer in the body, but the same really, really beautiful cable detail. I just think that's really, really pretty. It's another really beautiful cardigan. And the last issue, this is another one which is full of beautiful patterns. This was winter 2018, and this issue was guest edited by the amazing Nora Garn. And that pattern on the front is the pattern that Nora designed for the issue. It's called Nightingale. It's really beautiful, really intricate, like very like, I know it's like a spidery with these like voluminous sleeves. It gives it this really like almost Victorian feel. I really, really love that one. All the patterns in this issue, oh there it is from the back, are just stunning. Where's that cardigan that I really liked? That was also in this one. Sorry, here it is. It's called None Such by Veronique Avery. It's really beautiful. This one isn't in my queue, but this is another really beautiful pattern. Yeah, so if you were thinking of picking up an issue of Pom Pom to support them, I hope maybe you've got some inspiration. But yeah, it's, you know, time to get them while the getting's good, sadly. And yeah, if you found some inspiration. Obviously a lot of these copies of the magazine are, you know, a few years old, so if you just want to buy one pattern, you can just buy them on Ravelry. But yeah, if you I just love having knitting magazines in the house. So if I'd bought yarn for a specific project but it isn't really working, or I just want to cast on something completely new, completely unplanned, I have this amazing kind of library of patterns that I can just peruse through at my leisure. Sometimes I will lose like hours on a Saturday afternoon just looking through all of my knitting magazines and just dreaming of all of the patterns that I'd love to make and what color I'd make it in and what yarn I'd use. That is, you know, if there's kind of scratches that knitting itch. But if you kind of, you know, sometimes you don't feel like knitting, like you want to be knitting but you don't actually want to be knitting. So I just dream knit. I just sit with my magazines and dream knit. So do you do that as well, or is that just me? So yes, if you hope that inspired you with some beautiful back issues of Pom Pom, let me know if there are any patterns that you saw there that you like, or if there are patterns from Pom Pom that are in your queue that you're really excited to make. I'd love to hear about it. So let me know down below. Let me know what you're working on. How are you? The usual. It's always great to spend time with all of you. I really appreciate you, you know, taking some time, allowing me the privilege of keeping you company while you do some craft. So happy knitting. It was great to see you, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.